Hi creative friends, this is Cathy from Easy Sunday Club. It's been a while since I've done a watercolor tutorial, and I thought today I would record a video showing you my painting process for this rooster. I recently got a color sheet, watercolor color sheet by Viviva. It's a company that I hadn't heard of, but the products are really interesting to me. These are kind of color sheets that seem very vibrant. I've never used them before, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to record a painting video and kind of walk through my reaction as I try it out for the first time. This video is not sponsored by Viviva, but they did send me this color sheet for free, so let's see how it goes. I do have a sketch of the rooster in front of me. A lot of you have suggested or have asked me to include a sketch that you can use. So in the video description, you can find a darker version of this rooster pencil sketch that you can download and trace over or take your time sketching on your own if you like before you start this video. Most of my sketches are really light because my painting style tend to be very loose, so I don't like to have a lot of pencil markings to restrict my movements. So my sketches will be pretty light. I'm going to start with a size 2. This is an Escada watercolor brush. Escada is the brand. And I'm going to start with the comb of the rooster. So the first color I'm going to try out is the crimson. I'm only going to add a little bit of water. Let's see if you can see here. Just a dab of water to this color sheet here. The crimson color sheet, see how it goes. Oh yeah, so the color is very vibrant and concentrated. It almost has an inky feel to it. And I didn't need to add a whole lot of water to activate this color sheet. And no, the red is very vibrant, which I like for this crown, this comb here. I'm going to just add a little bit of deep pink on this side. Nice. Okay, so the slight color variation is pretty nice here from the crimson to the deep pink. And I'm going to try to drag it down here. And just one dab of paint lasts a while. So these are not your typical sample color swatches that you get sometimes from other watercolor brands. These are definitely very concentrated, which tells me that these will last longer than I thought, than I originally expected. And just the size, I mean, this is less than smaller than my iPhone, and it's very lightweight. I do love the portability of it, and I think one of their product objective of making these sheets is to make it more accessible for anyone to start creating. You don't have to have an art station set up with clunkier equipment. You can just start painting with a cup of water and this color sheet in your hand. All right, so looks like I'm gonna need to add some more fresh paint. Here you go. Also notice the layers dry relatively quickly. Let's see how it goes in the rest of the body, but at least when I'm working on the smaller parts, I notice that they do dry more quickly, so I'm able to add another layer on top rather quickly. Okay, now I'm going to change to a size 6 brown brush. And for the body, I'm thinking something in the grayish green tone. Looks like I only have a slate black here, but let's see how this looks. I feel like this is not a true black, so we'll see how this looks here. All right, it's actually a dark, almost like an indigo gray color, which I like. It goes very well with the crimson and the dark pink. And I'm using more water here just because I want to do a light wet on wet technique here. So I'm laying down the base layer with just a little bit of paint, a lot of water. I'm not sure how it changed color just now. I might have another color that was in here earlier because this is still supposed to be, yeah, there you go. Okay. And I want to keep blending in new colors because this is a very colorful rooster. So since I know that the paint tends to dry rather quickly, I want to work rather quickly and start adding another color or start blending in another color. So here, add in some green here, and then wetting the bottom and start fading it out. Water is your friend here. Even though the paint tends to dry quickly, you can always use water to dilute it while it's still wet. Because I'm trying to avoid having sharp edges, at least in this base layer. I love these accidental effects with watercolors. You would, as this, what is this part called? The Rooster waddle. I think as this part start to dry, I've touched the base of this waddle a little bit with my wet brush and it creates this nice cauliflower bloom. Some people don't like it, but I really like it when it happens by accident. So next, I'm gonna move on to looking for a little more brownish tone. So see how this burnt umber or burnt sienna might work with a little bit of black for the feet. Yeah, with loose watercolor, I'm really not trying to be precise. Like I'm not, it's not like a coloring book where I'm trying to color things in perfectly. I'm just kind of impressionistically layering the colors because chances are I'm probably going to add another layer on top. So that's good. Next, go back to the slate black and dabble in the feet. Right here, this part is starting to dry and it's looking pretty good. I might go back there and get a little more sap green in the belly or the under belly here. This is where the feather kind of has multiple layers and colors. Without having to draw in or paint in feathers individually, you can use this technique to kind of dabble in texture. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to, actually, let me just lay down a little bit of the dark green here. Oh, I'm sorry, the slate black again. I wanted to add just a little more detail to this. Right now I'm trying to do dry brushing with this brush. It's actually easier if I use another brush, which I'll show you in a little bit. But to do dry brushing, you want to make sure that your brush, first of all, the sharper, the more taper the tip is, the better. And also you want to make sure it doesn't hold a lot of water or barely any water. That's how you can achieve this crisp brush stroke. But no, I'm not doing a great job of it right now, so I'll just leave it at that. Before I switch over to my dry brushing brush, I need to finish the beak. So let's go back to burnt sienna again and get this beak going. Okay, you probably need to fill in a little more of the red for the top of the beak. Color's bleeding over a little bit, that's totally okay. And I'm just adding a little more red for layering, adding some dimension to the wattle. So it doesn't just look like a red clump. Okay, this looks good. And for the eye, I need to go back to the size 2 brush again. Just layering down the base color. Oops, it might be a little too red, that's okay. We'll just let it dry first. To activate the burnt sienna. This really doesn't take a lot, barely any water to activate the colors, so I like that. These sheets will probably last a while. But I also need to be careful not to oversaturate the eyes. I'm just coloring the iris first. And this beak needs a little more color. I'll just let it dry before I add more brown to it. So now I'm switching over to this Chinese calligraphy brush. If you can find any other brush that just has very sharpened or tapered tip, that should fit well, that should work out too. But I'll include a link below on where I got this Chinese calligraphy brush set. I really like using this for dry on dry or wet on dry brushing technique. And I will use this for the tail of the rooster. For the tail, I'm going for a blue, Persian blue. I'm gonna combine, like, this is the first time using this, so I'm just gonna experiment live in front of this recording. Going to combine a bit of sap green with Persian blue and see how it goes. Okay, here goes nothing. Well, looks like I removed too much water, so let's try again. Persian blue, sap green. So I'm just gonna hold it down and make very swift markings. Like that. I like how this looks. This is the right amount of water for me. I want a little more blue here, then I want closer to a turquoise teal than a sap green, so it's right here. You see why I like this brush? I just don't think you can achieve these texture as well with a regular round brush. Okay, so for some reason the blue's not showing up. Let me see if I can get it out there. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I was a little overly concentrated in the sap green, so I'm gonna add more blue here. Yeah, that's good. And just add a little more here. Maybe I can have the under feathers be more blue. The thing about this part is you also don't want to overdo it. So if you put too many feathers out, it's just not going to look visually balanced. So less is better. I might add a few more rounder feathers at the below, but for now I think this is good. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to just carefully apply some background feather to this. This is very blue. I don't think I wanted this blue, so I'm gonna try to water it down with slate black. These are kind of the background feathers, or the rounder feathers. Again, not overdoing it. This is supposed to leave the impression of more feathers in the background, so just be very light and swift with it. Just adding them as accents. All right. And here, earlier I tried to do dry brushing with a round brush. As you can see, it's not as successful as right here. So I'm gonna go back and try to do it again with the slate black. See, the thing about this brush tip is you can, when I flatten it, you can draw these thin lines, even though it's a big brush. And do I want to add or deepen this color here? Yes, I do. And start to blend in with the sap green. And I don't know if I said this already, but feel free to use your own color combination. I mean, these roosters, they don't have to be realistic, right? If you want to paint the wattle or the, what can I think of the name? Oh, if you want to paint the rooster's comb another color, just be my guest. I just want you to have fun with it. So this part here, let's do something exciting. I'm going to use a new color, peacock blue. Let's see how this looks. This peacock blue looks magenta to me, but I don't think this is going to be magenta. So let's see how this looks. Oh yeah. Love that. Love that accent right here. And see if we want to add some more accent up here. We'll use the same dark green tone. At this point, we're just adding details to make this chicken look a little more three-dimensional. See right here, I'm just It's almost like you're teasing the paper with a brush with very light taps. Well, kind of like if the brush was giving the paper butterfly kisses. This is how you can loosely add texture to this rooster. But the trick with loose watercolor is always knowing when to stop. And I think I'm just going to stop right here. Let's fix the eye and the beak, and I think we're done. Oh, and add a little more texture to the legs, the feet. We were using burnt sienna before. Let's just add another layer to the side to give it more dimension. You see my movement? It's a lot of taps, right? It's almost like I'm not painting, I'm just tabbing. Because this paper is smaller too. I think this is a 5 by 7 inch paper. I'm using smaller brush, so it doesn't allow for big, broad movements. And also need to blur in the pupil. I want to make sure that this area is dry so the pupil doesn't bleed out. And maybe I'll even add a tiny bit of outline to the iris. Okay. Okay, and finally the beak, and we will see if that's it. Okay. Eye area is a little too big, so I'm closing out the wattle so that the eye, it doesn't look like, the rooster looks less like deer in headlight. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy with it. I do think the eye, I want the black to be darker, and I'm not sure I'm able to achieve it with this sheet here. Maybe it's just not concentrated enough. But for time's sake, I'm just going to use my regular watercolor, black watercolor, to help it pop more. There you go. Now this rooster looks less stunned. And ta-da! I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you're interested in trying out these color sheets, then I'll include a link in the video description below, as well as the brushes I use. Have fun painting, and see you next time.